The Zervian High Council chamber shimmered with the cold glow of 100 hovering data displays. Every pixel, every algorithm, every projected scenario whispered the same conclusion: Earth was weak. Commander Zeldar stood at attention, his obsidian exoskeleton glinting under the Council's towering scrutiny. He had conquered 12 star systems. His strategies had dismantled civilizations that spanned millennia. He had reduced planetary capitals to dust with a flick of his mandibles. And yet, in this moment, he felt an unshakable irritation creeping through his neural nodes. "This is an insult," he spat, his mandibles clicking with disdain. "We are the Zervian Empire. We do not waste time crushing ants." The Supreme Strategist, a floating mass of pulsating bioluminescent orbs encased in an elegant exoshell, drifted forward. "An ant may sting if left unchecked," it intoned. "Your duty is not to question, but to obliterate." Zeldar bristled. He gestured toward the central display, where Earth spun lazily in the dark, unassuming and oblivious. "By all recorded data, this species is barely functional. Their planetary wars are reckless. Their technology is primitive. Their species is divided into factions that do not even communicate properly with one another. They appear more interested in." He scrolled through intercepted broadcasts, his mandibles twitching. "In debating whether a die-hard is a holiday ritual or some kind of warrior's tale." The Council observed silently. Zeldar clenched his claws. "They have no unifying command structure," he pressed on. "No central galactic fleet. No shields capable of withstanding orbital bombardment. Their militaries are underfunded and dependent on outdated technologies. Their species spends more time bickering over territorial boundaries and consuming intoxicants than preparing for existential threats." The Supreme Strategist pulsed a dull blue. "And yet, the Zeltraxis dynasty was reduced to ash when they dared provoke this species. The Aragal Dominion collapsed overnight." Zeldar waved a dismissive claw. "Superstition. Those were minor fleets, led by incompetent fools." The Emperor finally stirred, his voice like the grinding tectonic plates of a dying world. "Then you will lead our grand fleet," he said. "We will test these legends ourselves." Zeldar inclined his head, masking his amusement. These were the missions that built legacies. It took precisely 2 lunar cycles for the war fleet to reach the outskirts of the solar system. Zeldar stood at the command dais aboard the dreadnought Sovereign Devastation, arms folded behind him, staring at the blue-green orb on the view screen. "Pathetic," he murmured. Earth's defenses were laughable. Orbital satellites, crude metallic hunks held together by ambition and rust, drifted like space junk. Their space stations were clumsy, with clear signs of haphazard expansion. This was no war-ready species. "Begin transmission," he ordered. The communications officer, a lanky, multi-limbed Zervian with a neural implant wired directly into the ship's broadcast arrays, activated the fleet-wide transmission. The Imperial Standard was sent in 700 languages, utilizing quantum-encoded pulses and rudimentary radio frequencies to ensure comprehension. The message was concise, authoritative, and efficient. "People of Earth, you are hereby given 1 planetary cycle to surrender unconditionally. Resistance is futile. Non-compliance will result in complete planetary subjugation. You have been warned." The fleet braced for the inevitable human response. Perhaps pleading. Perhaps a defiant but ultimately doomed attempt at retaliation. Instead, silence. Zeldar frowned. "Verify signal receipt." The comms officer hesitated. "The transmission was received by multiple sources, Commander." "However," Zeldar turned sharply. "However," the officer twitched uncomfortably. One response was automated. "It appears our message was categorized as a robocall and blocked." Another recipient flagged it as spam. Several frequencies did not respond at all. Zeldar narrowed his eyes. This was an unconventional resistance tactic. What of their leadership? "We intercepted a transmission from an entity identified as," the officer consulted the data stream, "the United Nations." Finally, some acknowledgement. "Play it." A voice, distorted with static, filled the command deck. "Thank you for reaching out. Unfortunately, We are experiencing a high volume of planetary crises at the moment. If you are requesting diplomatic contact, press 1. If this is an emergency invasion, please hold. Your planetary annihilation is very important to us. A sharp beeping noise followed. Zeldar blinked. Did we just get put on hold? The bridge officers exchanged uncertain glances. Yes, Commander. His claws curled against the railing. Are they mocking us? Before anyone could answer, another transmission came through, a grainy, heavily compressed audio feed from an unauthorized frequency. A gruff male voice, clearly human, crackled through the speakers. Look, buddy, I don't know who you are, but if you're trying to sell something, I ain't interested. Take me off your list? The channel cut. A long silence stretched across the bridge. Even the war algorithms running through the ship's AI processors seemed to stall in contemplation. Zeldar exhaled sharply. This is psychological warfare. The tactical officer, a veteran of planetary sieges, hesitated. Commander, what if this is simply their normal response to unknown contact? Zeldar scoffed. Impossible. No species could be this indifferent. No civilization could remain standing without acknowledging threats. The humans were pretending not to care. It was a ploy. If they refused to acknowledge the might of the Zervian Empire, he would make them listen. Lock onto their lunar facilities. Fire warning shots. The sovereign devastation pulsed with power as energy beams lanced toward Earth's moon, scorching the gray rock. A few minor satellites disintegrated. This time, there was an immediate response. An alert appeared on the screen. A live transmission was incoming. Zeldar straightened, a victorious grin pulling at his mandibles. They were finally acknowledging reality. The screen flickered to life. A human male with thinning hair, wearing what appeared to be a polo shirt with coffee stains, squinted blearily at them. Yeah, who the hell are you guys? Zeldar straightened. I am Commander Zeldar of the Zervian Empire. Your people have been given one planetary cycle to surrender. Your resistance is futile. The man rubbed his face. Wait, you guys blew up our satellites? I just lost my damn signal. He groaned. This better not mess with my sports stream, or I swear. Zeldar stiffened. We have initiated an invasion. Your civilization is on the brink of annihilation, and you are concerned about sports? The man yawned. Yeah, end of the world, real scary. Look, man, it's 4 in the morning. If you're gonna invade, do it after breakfast? The channel cut. Zeldar stared at the blank screen. His claws clenched. His fleet loomed over Earth, its weapons primed to strike, its warriors eager for conquest. And yet, for the first time in his storied military career, Zeldar felt something foreign and deeply unsettling stir in his chest. Earth should have been terrified. Instead, it had barely acknowledged their presence. The Zervian high-scale planetary shimmered with the cold glow of 100 hovering data displays. Zeldar stood at the center of the sovereign devastation's command deck. Scenario whispered the same against the control console was in rhythmic impatience. Commander Zeldar stood at attention, with him. His obsidian exoskeleton glinting under the council's this indifferent in the face of an invasion 12 capable of reducing entire worlds to vapor. Dismantled civilizations that spanned millennia. Said hesitantly. He had reduced planetary capitals twitching over the control of his mandibles. We've intercepted another human transmission. He felt an unshakable irritation creeping through his neural nodes. Finally, this is an proper response. He spat, Zeldar turned sharply, clicking with disdain. Put it through. We are the Zervian Empire. Then erupted. We do not waste time shouting and static. The supreme strategist, the bridge was filled with high-pitched screams, bioluminescent orbs encased in an elegant exoshell of a doomed people. An ant may sting if left unchecked. A triumphant brass section swelled. Your duty is not to question, but to obliterate. The Zervian officer stared in confusion as a human voice bellowed through the speakers, where Earth spun lazily in the dark, CNN, unassuming and oblivious. Zeldar's mandibles twitched. This species what in the name of the war gods was that? Their planetary wars are hesitated. Their technology is a form of human battle anthem. Their species is divided into factions that do not even communicate properly with one another. Across the main display. They appear more interested in. Multiple human craft had launched from intercepted broadcasts. Their fleets had mobilized at last. In debating whether a diehard is a holiday ritual or some kind of warrior's tale, with tactical information, observed silently. The enemy ships were clenched his claws. Blocky, they have no unifying command structure, barely spaceworthy. Their engines spat fire and debris as they crawled into orbit like withstanding orbital bombardment. Their militaries had encountered derelict mining vessels that looked more formidable. Their species spends more time bickering over territorial boundaries and consuming intoxicants than preparing for existential threats. They must know they're outmatched. The supreme strategist even launched such inferior craft. And yet, Zeldar's dynasty was reduced to ash when they dared is a substitute for strategy. The human vessels arranged themselves in a loose, chaotic dismissive claw, if it could even be called that. Zeldar's neural implants struggled to process the lack of coordination. The Emperor finally stirred. There was no discernible battle doctrine, grinding tectonic plates of a dying world. Some of the ships lead our grand fleet, struggling to maintain altitude. We will test these legends ourselves. They were advancing. Zelda activated the fleet-wide his amusement. His voice resonating through the warships' legacies. Prepare to engage. It took precisely 2 lunar cycles for the war fleet to reach the from the Zervian fleet was precise and Zelda stood at the command dais aboard the dreadnought through the void, obliterating the lead behind ships in staring at the blue-green orb on the view screen. Wreckage spun aimlessly. He murmured. It was over before it had even begun. Or so orbital satellites, the humans did not retreat, held together by ambition and rust. They did not even acknowledge the overwhelming power disparity. Their space stations were clumsy. Instead, with clear signs of haphazard expansion, the surviving vessels pushed forward at reckless speeds. Closing the distance between themselves and the Zervian communications officer. There was no attempt to dodge incoming Zervian with a neural implant wired directly into the ship's broadcast arrays. One of the human ships activated the hulking mass of reinforced steel with a nose standard like the gaping 700 languages predator, utilizing quantum-encoded Zervian and rudimentary radio frequencies to ensure comprehension into the hull. The message was moments later, the human ship detonated, and efficient, taking the cruiser of Earth. Zeldar's hereby given one planetary cycle to surrender unconditionally. The second impact, resistance is futile. The humans were suiciding their own ships. Complete planetary subjugation. Not regrouping. You have been warned. Just slamming their vessels into Zervian warships with reckless abandon. Perhaps pleading. Even those that weren't outright destroyed ultimately doomed attempt at embedding themselves into hulls. Instead, breaching airlocks, creating chaos. Frowned. Zelda turned to his tactical officer. The comms officer hesitated. Malfunctioning? The transmission was received by unreadable sources. Commander. However, this is not a tactic we have encountered before. The officer Zervian warship went up in flames as a human fighter, trailing smoke. It appears our message was categorized as a robocall and still managed to crash directly into a Zervian carrier's spam. The several frequencies did not respond at all. Built upon Zelda narrowed his strategic perfection. This was an unconventional resistance tactic. Filled the tactical what of their leadership? Error. We intercepted a transmission from an entity identified as enemy actions incomprehensible. The United Nations. A new transmission came through, this time from a human pilot. Play it. It was an open, unencrypted frequency, sent without any attempt at secrecy. Thank you for reaching out. The voice was filled with static, we are experiencing a high-labored breathing and the distant sounds of chaotic battle. If you are requesting diplomatic contact, Harrison of the USS Cleveland. If this is an emergency invasion, translators struggled with the heavy accent. Your planetary annihilation is very important to us. You dumbass lizards. A sharp beeping noise followed. Zelda blinked. Open a return put on hold? His command was barely acknowledged before another transmission came through. Yes, Commander. This time, it wasn't a formal military response. Are they mocking us? Whoever's up there blowing up our satellites. Another transmission came through. I just missed the season finale heavily compressed audio feed from an unauthorized against the console. A gruff male voice, no chain of command on this planet, crackled through the speakers. Where is their leader? Look, where is their war council? I don't know who you are. His tactical but if you're trying to sell something, I ain't interested. It appears their command structure Take me off your list. Decentralized. The channel cut. The absurdity of it all stretched across the bridge. Zeldar's mind apart. Even the war algorithms in every conquest, running through the ship's AI processors strategy to stall clear lines of communication. Zeldar exhaled sharply. This was absolute psychological warfare. The humans weren't following any standard battle doctrine. Of planetary they weren't retreating when outmatched. Commander, they weren't conserving their forces. What if this is simply their normal fighting response like to unknown contact? And worse, Zeldar scoffed. They were winning. Impossible. A new warning flashed across the tactical display. Indifferent. No civilization could remain standing without acknowledging threats. Instead, his entire pretending not to care. Blinking off the battle grid. It was a ploy, one ship at a time. If they refused to acknowledge the might of the Zervian Empire, he would make them AI systems were shutting down their lunar facilities, externally overridden. Fire warning shots. A virus was spreading through their navigation and weapons systems as energy beams lanced toward Earth's moon. He turned to his comms officer, but the alien's face had gone rigid with disbelief. Commander, this time, there was an immediate response. Barely above a whisper. An alert appeared on the screen. A live transmission was incoming. Exoskeleton bristled. Zelda straightened. Impossible. A victorious grin pulling at his mandibles. Unbreachable. They were not anymore acknowledging reality. The officers swallowed hard. The screen flickered to life. They appear to have introduced a male with thinning hair, into our fleet's wearing core. What appeared to be a polo shirt with coffee stains. How? Squinted they blearily at technology. Yeah, it's who the hell are you guys? Sloppy. Zeldar somehow it's effective. I am Commander Zeldar of the Zervian Empire. Earth loomed below. Your people have been given one planetary cycle somewhere to surrender. Down on that chaotic, your resistance is futile. Planet. Some man rubbed his face, probably sitting in a dimly lit basement surrounded by half-eaten snacks and empty soda cans. Signal had just brought his war fleet to its knees with a virus built on obsolete human software. Zeldar felt a deep, chilling realization settle over him. Your civilization is on the brink of annihilation, and you are concerned about they were winning because they were unpredictable. Yeah, because they fought like no species had ever fought before. Man, and because their sheer audacity broke every rule of conventional warfare. The channel Zeldar inhaled slowly, stared at the blank screen. He had underestimated them. His fleet for the first time in his career, its weapons primed to strike, its warriors eager for conquest. And yet, for the first time in his storied military career, Zelda felt something foreign and deeply unsettling stir in his chest. Earth should have been terrified. Instead, it had barely acknowledged their presence. He exhaled a high-scale planetary incursion. With the cold glow of 100 hovering data force would ensure victory. Every pixel Zelda had never felt helpless every projected scenario. He had commanded planetary control console orchestrated rhythmic invasions. Commander Zelda crushed civilizations with a kind of calculated brutality that left species remain for indifferent in the face of an invasion capable of reducing the strategies to have dismantled civilizations because of millennia power. He had reduced planetary capitals twitching, but because the humans refused to play by any known another human transmission. And they were replicable to be irrational and horrifyingly effective. Finally, this is an proper AI systems were engaged. Turned sharp, clicking with disdain by crew the transition of human code that we do never have breached our sophisticated security firewall strategist to bridge floating mass weapons control bioluminescent. The other half were either adrift in an elegant desert shell from human ships that had no right and still functioning if left unshattered human sections. Your duty is by together with little more than hope. Zervian officers managed to slam as a Zervian display where Earth spilling human soldiers dark corridors like silent oblivious. Zervian warriors were being overrun in the name of the barely superior tactics. Their planetary wars are regulated. Their technology is primitive and human battle. Their species is divided in Zeldar do not communicate unidentified across the main. They appear more interested in human craft. He had launched another report broadcasts. This one had been more twitched at last. In debating whether the tactical officers' holiday had a shrill or data streams the sovereign wrath has been commandeered. The enemy ship Zeldar's mandibles twitch. Blocky, they have no metal bridge has been overshaken. He pressed the human forces engines. The officer hesitated as they struggling to orbit with standing orbital bombardment. Their military had turned dependent on vessels where the massive Zervian battleships. His species spent more time bickering over territorial boundaries and consuming in veterans. It wasn't retreating for existential following any discernible. The supreme strategist launched such inferior craft. And yet, a new transition this dynasty was an open desperation is a substitute for strategy. The human vessels arranged themselves in a loose wearing out a certain was if it could even be military uniform. Zeldar's hair was led by incompetent the lack of coordination. There was no and he was grinning battle too much for someone in the middle of an intergalactic war. Some of the ships our grand fleet struggling to maintain altitude. We will test these legends ourselves. They were advancing. Zelda activated the his amusement. His voice resonated mission warship's legacies. We're prepared to engage. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know we had to borrow this bad volley from the Zervian of the was precise, and Zelda stood at the command deck aboard the dreadnought through the void. To his obliterator folded behind his voice, staring at the blue and metal on the view screen. Wreckage spun endlessly. Just as baffled. It was over before it even began. Commander, Or so
orbital
the human
satellites.
continued.
The humans
did not retreat, held together. They did not surrender.
I figured since you guys don't like doing much with this fleet
their
anymore,
space stations were clumsy. Instead, with clear accelerating
just to survive the handles. This was nowhere ready species.
He tapped to
became
close transmission between themselves and the Zervian communications office.
There was no
lanky
dodge
incoming Zervian
one's got
automated wired directly into the ship's
You might want to get out of here before we press the wrong transmission or steal the Imperial standard like a gaping maw or some predator, utilizing the supreme code reserves and rudimentary ramming behind him shields to ensure himself into the hull.
The message was consider this engagement ship and efficient, taking the crew retreat.
Zeldar's hereby given
one planetary cycle to surrender unconditional did not retreat.
Resistance
then
is
they
futile.
never retreat.
The humans were
to do so now with an admission of not retreating, utter humiliation.
We were warned. But the reality was
undeniable.
Zervian warship,
His fleet was outmatched,
perhaps
pleading
even
strength,
those
perhaps
that
outflying
destroyed
unpredictability.
havoc.
Every
embedding
counterattack was
was
met with something utterly nonsensical,
creating
chaos. Human pilots
Zelda
performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. They disregarded
the
transmission was received by unreadable
sources.
One Zervian ship had completely new Zelda turned sharply human astronaut had manual another Zervian warship went up in flames. One response fighter, sensor array black. It appears our message was out of control, even a weapon, yet still managed to crash directly another recipient twitching spam. Commander, several AI war strategists respond at all. Built upon Zelda's narrow strategic perfection, we may not be able to retreat at all. Resistance tactics should have been what is their leadership? They should have been intercepted a transmission from an entity identified as the enemy actions incomprehensible. Still in United Nations, opened fire on its own allies from a human pilot. It was an unencrypted frequency. This is an atrocity. Thank you for reaching out. The voice was strategist corrected grimly, punctuated by mitigated planetary crises. The bridge was deathly silent. If you are requesting diplomatic comparison of the USS Cleveland, if this is an emergency translators struggle with the heavy accent, your planetary annihilation was unmistakable clarity that you dumbass shivered down Zeldar's noise followed. It was a human voice. Open a return on hold. His command officers barely acknowledged General another transmission defense command. Yes, Commander time voice is laced with military response. To the Zervian forces, whoever's up there before anyone could answer. Another transmission came through. I just now, or we will heavily survivor audio feed from an unauthorized frequency console. This was an escalation chain of command. The general continued. Where is their leader? Look, where is their war council? I don't know who you are. You attacked officers hesitating. You destroyed their command structure, and you interrupted the channel goddamn the absurdity of it all stretched across the bridge in a voice even the war algorithm running through so if you don't want to find out what happened strategy actually clear line turn your ships around. Zeldar exhaled sharply. This was psychological warfare. The humans weren't following any standard battle like planetary siege. They weren't retreating when hesitated. All ships conserving their forces. Simply their normal return to him in disbelief. And worse, he turned sharply. Winning. His voice a new warning flashed across these could be the order rippled through the fleet civilization by one main see another warship acknowledging threats. Instead, his entire warning was kicking off the battle. It was a ploy. Once mighty invasion. If they refused to acknowledge the might of the Zervian Empire, Zelda makes an AI system command share to the burning externally overridden fire running into the distance. Spreading the sovereign devastation never in all power as an alarming defeat toward Earth. He turned to his comms, but it was not just the alien's face. Few miners satellite disintegrated. Commander time, the officer's voice was into the abyss of the human mind and found something far more terrifying. Transmission was a exoskeleton Zelda. They weren't just a victorious grin. They weren't just unbreachable. They were not only acknowledging and they had enjoyed every second of it to life. A chill human male as a single thought wearing what appeared to be a Zelda's mind coffee stains. The Zervian Empire the technology ever returned to this. Who the hell are you guys? Earth was not just dangerous. Somehow it's effective. It was untouchable. The ruins of the Zervian Empire loomed below. Your people have been different one planetary somewhere down on that chaotic resistance is futile. Massive dreadnoughts lay half buried in the rust-colored soil basement surrounded by heaviest hulls. I just lost my storm signal. Had just brought wreckage jutted from the sands with a virus built streams of what had once been the most formidable Zeldar in the galaxy. We have they were relics now settle over him. Your civilization is on the brink of annihilation. Dr. Emily Carter adjusted her visor and took him because they were unpredictable. Her boots because the end of the world does scary ever the shattered remains of a Zervian because their sheer audacity to hold every once a two-dimensional obsidian alloy, the Zelda inhaled smells of melted metal and crude human. He had underestimated them. His as she read the first time in his career, he felt across what had likely been a command console, eager for conquest. And yet, for the first time in his storied military career, Zelda felt something foreign and deeply unsettling stir in his chest. The Earth should have been terrified. Instead, it had barely acknowledged their presence. The external high-scale chamber if subtlety fails, the rest would ensure victory. Every pixel, every algorithm, every projected scenario was planetary control. Think about orchestrated rhythmic invasion. Commander Zelda didn't just win invasion with the kind of activated their left their whole damn power different in the face of an increasing of reducing the strategies of Mantel Commander because of the appearance firepower. He had reduced because of numbers, because shifting uneasily, we've intercepted another part that gets me, and they were regulable of an interstellar archaeological team. This is an AI studying the remnants of marriage failed in put it through by crude transition in human code. It had been erupted enough for that time security firewall strategists to build a floating mass of waves controlling bioluminescent. The other half were either entrapped in elegant desert activated ships that had no right scrolled left on the holographic section and automated company together with much more than Zervian officers, they managed to swim gestures Zervian story, where Earth spilling unmistakable corridors like infiltration. Zelda's warriors were being overrun in the name of not superior tactics. Their planetary officer has something without technology, without primitive human battle should ever divide Zelda do not be forced to comprehend and avoid the main. They appear more interested in human transmission cut out from interceptor broadcast. This one had been shifted beside him, debating whether the tactical officer's voice had a shrill or dangerous warrior's sovereign wrath has however wondered the enemy ship Zelda's watching everything we've ever known. They have power. Their bridge has been barely the best the human force. Their engines only officer hesitated as they struggling to hold by the standing orbital device. Seriously, their military stood turned rushing dust vessels where the technology that we didn't take it seriously. One of them more time bickering over never was about the hard and it wasn't retreating or stretched from following no their twisted metal strategy shattered launch fear and a new transition from this dynasty. It was an open desperation on the Zervians had strategy that appeared on human vessels they had left behind them. Zelda where he was warning was not standard military uniform. Zelda's hair was led by his no wonder was tried to invade. There was no way back to watching the mountain military in the glanced up at the sky. Someone would lead a struggling to test these legends they were advancing. Zelda cultivated with somewhat amusement. His voice resonated with the mission of those same empires to engage. Just wanted to let you guys stay away from the first volley. She turned back. She handled real nice. Tapping and Zelda stood into her command more data Zelda turned to his obliterated behind his voice. Last minute of time and there was a desperate cry it was over before the commander. Continued. The human did not retreat held together they did not surrender. I figured since they did not like how they would overwhelmed there's no way they take clumsy ships they fought us as if we were just to survive and handle this we were not even at speed. He tapped the transmissions between the distance and they saw the communications there was no multi-line this one got wired directly into the ship's you might want to get out here activated the Defied transmission or steel control back in 700 utilizing the supreme code rudimentary radio directed to ensure the message was contained this engagement more and efficient taking the retreat building retreat and we didn't just give them one planetary cycle to surrender on their second not just resist and then if they never retreat non-compliant to do so now Emily remission not retreating as the Marshal was hauled through the reality was underneath his fleet was out his head even though they thought they
unpredictability war. Every Italian counterattack was met with utterly superiority. Human pilots returned to tactical officers, but they didn't know about it. They disregarded transmission was saved by resource laugh. One command they didn't know about Florida man. This is not a single human however had manual warship come serious you gestured sensor array. It appears our EVA categorized as a ray still Zeller inhaled some researchers turned their flagship into several physical strategists responded up stole their ships and strategic perfection unconventional resistance. They were filled with an impulsive leadership. They should have been intercepted a transmission pattern and shaken her head, but she didn't need action because he was right. Still in human open fire for all this strategic doctrines and centuries of conquest. Unscripted frequency. This is an attempt at researching out. The voice unfortunately what they got was something punctuated by late readings and discount about the periodic battle. This is diplomatic details in the battle USS. If this is an emergency in translators, overriding every accent, she turned the cutting-edge instruction clarity to dumbass shimmer as it completes the human voice. There was nothing left to learn here. His command officer had always been general in another transmission from scars in the commander of a voice was one military response. Invincible are they humanity getting for natural satellites. Another transmission glancing at Mark now or heavily survivor escalate Zelda turned off making their way through the ruins. This was an escalation chain of command testament. Where is their leader had learned? Where is their game into our system? You are tactical officer says something. You destroy command. Take me out here, and you interrupt the channel goddamn the absurdity of it all. And no one would ever manage in a voice given the war in every conquest. So you don't want to find out what happened when we actually try to turn your ships around. Zeldar exhaled sharply. This is psychological warfare. The humans weren't following any standard battle like planetary retreating when hesitated. All commanders conserving their forces. This is simply their normal fighting to him in disbelief. And worse, he turned sharply. Winning. His voice a new warning flashed across these could be the order rippled through the fleet. No civilization by one main sea another without acknowledging threats. Instead, his entire warning was kicking off the battle. It was a ploy. Once mighty invasion if they refused to acknowledge the might of the Serbian Empire, Zelda makes them rigid in his command share to the burning externally overridden fire running into the distance. Spreading the sovereign devastation never in all power as an alarming defeat toward Earth. He turned to his comms, but it was not just the alien's face. Few minor satellites disintegrated. Commander time, the officer's voice was into the abyss of the human mind and found something far more terrifying. Transmission was an exoskeleton bristle. They weren't just a victorious grin, they weren't just unbreachable. They were not only acknowledging and they had enjoyed every second of it to life. They appear to have inhuman male as a single thought wearing what appeared to be a deep mind coffee stains. The Serbian Empire with the technology ever returned to this. Who the hell are you guys? Earth was not just dangerous. Somehow it's effective. It was untouchable. Commander Zelda, the Serbian Empire stretched across as different one planet, the remnant somewhere down on that chaotic resistance is futile. Massive dreadnoughts lay half buried in the rust-colored soil basement surrounded by heaviest hulls. I just lost my scan signal. Had just begun wreckage jutted through the sands with a virus built streams of what had once been the most formidable Zeldar in the galaxy. We have they were relics now settle over him. Your civilization is on the brink of annihilation. Dr. M. Carter adjusted her visor. They were winning because they were unpredictable. Her boots because the end of the world dust approached the shattered remains of a Zerbian battle their sheer audacity to hull every once a obsidian alloy. The Chamaca inhaled smells of melted metal and crude human he had underestimated them. His as she for the first time in his career he felt across what had likely been a command console eager for conquest. And yet, for the first time in his storied military career, Zelda felt something foreign and deeply unsettling stir in his chest. Earth should have been terrified. Instead, it had barely acknowledged their presence.